Last warning. 2 minutes left. Head back immediately. The window is closing.
That's what happens when you fail to extract in Arc Raiders. When the timer hits 0, you lose everything. But it doesn't have to be that way. Let's make sure your next raid doesn't end like this. You start in Speranza, your home base. This is where every run begins and where you crawl back to if things go wrong. Whether you're familiar with extraction shooters or this is your first one, this video will cover all the essentials before you hit the field. We'll go over the core systems and quirks that define Arc Raiders, because how well you understand this place decides if you make it out or lose it all. If you hit inventory here, you'll see your stash, with filters on the left. First thing to pick is an Augment, which is a fancy name for a backpack. This item decides how your inventory looks like. So how many slots you have, the total weight you can carry, the amount of quick slots you can equip consumables into, and the type of shields you can equip. It also decides the number of safe pockets you can have. Safe pockets are mainly used to store the most valuable things you find, so that even if you die and lose everything, you'll be able to go back home with that rare schematic you found, so not all is lost. There are some limitations with them, as they cannot store shields or weapons, for example. There's also a few other clever uses for them, which will be in my tips video coming right after this one. You can find backpacks as loot in the game, or loot them from dead players, but you cannot equip them in a raid. You're always stuck with the one you start with for the whole game. Whatever backpack you find, no matter how good it is, it's for your next run, if you live. Next is your shields. They come in 3 different sizes, green, blue and purple, or more like pink here. Shields in this game are unlike other games like Apex or Warzone, where it's not an extension of your health. It's just for mitigation. So every hit you take is going to be to both health and shields. You can see here with full health and shields, the first hit I take does damage to both. It's just that without the shield, the health damage would have been more. Even though the game has no hit markers, when you break an enemy shield, you get a visual indicator and sound as well. Shots to the shield have a blue electricity-like effect. And when the shield is down, hits will just be red fumes. Your weapons have 2 different types of quality. There's weapon rarity and weapon upgrade rank. Rarity is the color you can see here, and is the usual Diablo color convention. Green, blue, pink, and then legendary is yellow. Rarity is mostly decided by the schematic you get for each type of weapon, or if you find it as loot. But the rank is controlled by you. Any weapon you have, you can right-click and upgrade, and this will increase the stats like you see here. And when you do that, that number increases. Weapons will also show you the type of ammo they use and how effective they are against the Arc robots. You've got light, medium, and heavy ammo, and shotgun ammo. There's also energy ammo, but you won't see that too early. The general rule is that the bigger the bullet, the better the damage to Arc. Weapons have a few attachment slots. They also have their own rarity, and you can craft them or find them as loot. A nice quality of life here: whenever you click on a slot, you auto-filter your inventory for attachments that would fit it. You can also equip or swap those attachments in and out of weapons during raid freely. They're not wedded to a weapon once they're attached. Everything you have has durability, and you repair your gear only in Speranza. You can't repair during a raid, and it will cost you some materials. Unlike games like Dune Awakening, for example, there's no permanent deterioration, so you can repair an item as often as you can live to keep it, and its max durability won't go down. You need healing bandages for your health and shield recharges for your shield. You can easily craft those or buy them from the clinic vendor. It will be harder to craft when you're still starting, but they are overpriced at the vendor. And the difficulty is mainly for the shield recharge cells, because they require power cells, which only come from killing arcs in a raid. This is quite relevant to a crucial tip that you need to know as early as possible in the game, and I'll talk about this in my tips video, which I'll link in the description and at the end of this video, because essentially it's the sequel to this one. The second tab here is the workshop. This is where you find your best friend, Scrappy. He's basically your passive income of mats. After every game, you come back to the lobby to find him ready with more loot that you can claim. You can train Scrappy to regularly find you better stuff. In the workshop, there's also your workbenches, and those are the usual places you go to craft weapons, consumables, weapon attachments, etc. And they can be upgraded to higher ranks, which will unlock higher ranks of craftables. The next tab is Radar. This is where you can customize your radar, equip cosmetics, or even change your appearance freely. This is also where you go to spend skill points in your skill tree, which we'll talk about in a bit. The next tab is Traders. This is where you can buy things like guns, attachments, consumables, mostly overpriced, so that's mainly when you can't craft them yet. The unique one here is Celeste, as she can trade you a variety of basic materials in exchange for seeds, which you can loot all over the place during a raid. Scrappy will also bring you some seeds, so you'll always have a flow of income when it comes to seeds and subsequently basic materials. And a quick look at currencies. This is the base currency of the game. You get it mainly when you sell stuff to vendors, and this is the currency you get when you achieve any feats. And you can use this in the small battle pass-like section called Techs, where you can purchase some cosmetics. And the last one is the premium currency for all the battle pass or fancy microtransaction cosmetics. It's not as dreadful as other extraction shooters maybe, but there's still a ton of mats to loot in this game. You can sell them, use them to repair, or craft, or break them into other mats. It's gonna get overwhelming fast. So let me try to ease in some basics and clarify some things. You probably expect this, but if you miss that little button, it's here. You can expand your stash storage multiple times, and with each time it obviously costs a bit more, but it's totally worth it. Crafting materials come in different rarities too, and they can be sold from your stash when you're back in your base, or recycled into other more common or lower rarity materials. Many of your quests or crafts require a variety of those, and if you have any specific material that you need for a craft, you can track it, and this will put that icon on the item. So when you find it during the raid, you know not to break it or drop it for inventory space. If you need a tool on the side to know what materials break into what, there's a few websites that will have that for you. They're all new and evolving, so depending on when you see this, some might end up being more useful than others. I'll link all the ones I know in the description. Now back to the Radar tab, the skill tree is the most significant long-term progression for your character. Even if you die and lose everything, you still gain XP, especially if the raid was eventful. This means you level up, and with each level, you get a skill point. You have 3 trees: conditioning, mobility, and survival. Conditioning is focused on stretching your endurance and fine-tuning capabilities, so it helps you counter movement speed penalties from heavy shields, makes you hear things better, make less noise when breaching, and all those small nodes can take up to 5 points to stack up the effect, while the big nodes are 1 point for a unique effect. Ultimately, in conditioning, you can auto-heal when you're close to death, or you can one-shot some small arc enemies with melee. The mobility tree is all about your dexterity, so you can slide faster, vault quicker, consume less stamina when moving, and ultimately negate vaulting stamina cost. The survival tree is a variety of enhancements to your speed of looting, noise made while looting, and even increasing your luck when looting, and ultimately the ability to breach security locks and defuse mines and traps. We'll come back to the skill tree in the tips video, because this is where the magic happens. You can queue as solo, duo, or trio. You can choose to autofill with randoms only to a trio, and whatever you queue as, the game will try to match you with similar sized teams. Not a guarantee, but more like best effort if similar groups are queuing. Each raid is 30 minutes, and at the end, if you don't leave on time, the map gets nuked like you saw in the intro, and you lose everything. When you ready up, you normally have your equipped loadout, but you do have another option. If you don't want to invest anything, and you're still super poor, you can select a free loadout. This will give you random items, 1 weapon, and a free backpack, which is pretty small, and most importantly, it doesn't have any safe pockets. So you have to actually survive and extract to gain anything from a game with a free loadout. It's mainly an option when you want to test something or you're still starting up, being poor, and figuring the game out. If you feel you're more likely to die, you don't need to waste the little resources you have, so you can use the free loadout for your initial learning experience. So at least it wouldn't cost you more than time. If you successfully extract with a free loadout, you can use that free backpack to buy other types of backpacks from the clinic vendor, which is a nice bonus and incentive that rewards survival with a free loadout. Once you decide to extract, there are 3 ways to leave the game. 2 normal ones and 1 special method. The normal ones are the elevator and the train. They both require you to call your ride, which makes quite a bit of noise. And you have to wait for your ride to arrive, only to get in, activate a terminal, and off you go. The noise this creates is easily heard from a fair distance, so it's safe to expect that once you hit that button, other nearby players might come running to try to kill you and take whatever you want to leave with. The special extraction is a hatch, which is practically instant, so it's super safe. And you need a special key to open a hatch, and once you use it, the hatch stays open for about 15 seconds. Those keys were too easy to acquire in previous tests, and the developers mentioned that they don't want that option to be available for everyone so easily. So if you're watching this later on, the way to acquire the keys might change, from high price to crafting cost or to a cooldown on use. Normal extractions also close at certain times, reducing the number of options to extract as time goes by, which means the longer you stay, the more likely you'll get into a fight with anyone else that stays late, as you will eventually have 1 extraction to use near the end of the game. And escape hatches have no timer, but they are disabled in some maps or map conditions like night raids. In extraction shooters, sweat lords can easily grind and reach the top of the food chain with max stats and gear, and they can bully everyone else indefinitely. That's why extraction shooters tend to have a wipe system, which deletes everyone's progress to put the whole player base back on even footing. Arc Raiders has a unique system called Expedition Projects, and you can learn all about it along with ideas around the system in my dedicated video about the topic. I'll link that above. But now that you know all the basics, please check out my tips video, which will help you avoid unnecessary mistakes, learn how to best deal with the Arc, other players, and make the best use out of all the intricate systems in the game, along with a game-changing tip that will completely change how you survive in raids. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.